Mrs. Flores?
You know, I am local government. I'm on my city council, and one of the worst things that the state can do is take money from local government. We can't afford it. We have to stop projects because the state doesn't give us the funds that we need. And I oppose, and I'm offended that they always consider taking money from local governments. You know, we passed proposition a couple of years ago that the governor backed that said they wouldn't take our funds, and now, you know, they don't take our funds, they propose borrowing it. They borrow it, they'll never give it back. So we just cannot afford for the government to continue to take local government funds, and we need to fund our city services.
Thank you. Ms. Kaczmarek.
Ms. Flores, this question is for you. Would you vote for an imperfect budget, one that doesn't meet your standards, in order to get it passed before it affects vendors and residents?
You know, there's, you know, like I said before, I've worked on the budget process. We've been able to pass budgets, and, you know, at some point, there are cuts that have to be made, but I think that you have to make a real effort to find those cuts and close those tax loopholes that aren't going to impact the people that are going to hurt the worst, which is Medicaid, you know, health services. We just can't keep doing it to the same people. So we need to find ways to increase revenues, and yeah, we're going to have to find a way to make some cuts. I think we just have to prioritize those cuts.
Ms. Gilmore.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Would you vote for an imperfect budget, one that doesn't meet your standards, in order to get it passed before it affects vendors and residents?
I believe that here that the well, I've just totally lost my train of thought here. I'm sorry.
Would you want to repeat the question one more time, please?
Sure. Would you vote for an imperfect budget, one that doesn't meet your standards, in order to get it passed before it affects vendors and residents?
No, I don't believe I would. No. No.
Would you like to elaborate on that at all?
No, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hurley.
Thanks, Mark. First, Mr. Gilmore, you mentioned spending cuts. Our current governor has been in office almost 4 years. He went into office basically on that platform. He was going to blow up the boxes. He proposed a series of propositions that were going to limit spending on specific programs, and that hasn't happened. What specifically, what programs, what kinds of services would you favor cutting in California to bring the budget back into line?
First, I would want to say that I would not cut education or public safety at all. And we need to have a more business-friendly state here in California to vitalize our economy. We're having businesses leaving California because we're overtaxing and overregulating our businesses. We need to have a business-friendly state in order to keep businesses in California. In the last 2 months, we've had Toyota, who was going to build the Prius here in San Francisco, went to Mississippi, took 1,000 jobs. Additionally, AAA announced that they were leaving the state as well. And if we continue down this road and we don't have a business-friendly state, we're not going to be able to fund the necessary programs to run our government.
Ms. Flores, what specifically would you cut in state spending?
You know, the governor proposed a 10% cut originally across the board, which did not make any sense at all. We were cutting places that shouldn't be cut. I think what we have to do is we have to really work at finding, you know, priority places where we can cut that won't impact those that truly need the services. I'm not in favor of cutting services for children, education, public safety. So you can't do a 10% cut across the board because it affects all of those services. I think we need to just really study those programs that maybe are not utilized, that we need to take a look at.
I'd like to follow up on that question. It sounds to me that Mr. Gilmore is saying that education, public safety are off the table. I'm hearing Ms. Flores say that perhaps everything is on the table and we have to make appropriate cuts. Is that the difference between the two positions? I'll give you a brief opportunity to respond, and then you, Mr. Gilmore.
Okay. I think that public safety and education are probably the top things that we would not want to cut, but I don't know that there aren't places or programs within public safety and within education that might not be able to scale back, not cut, because we certainly can't cut, but scale back some so that we can do the other programs that are lacking. So, I think it's just a matter of setting the priorities. Children and public safety come first, but we've got to look at everything.
I want to give Mr. Gilmore an opportunity to respond.
Again, I think the education of our children and public safety, to me, would be off the table, but we would certainly need to come together on both sides of the aisle and the other issues to look at and to see where some cuts would be made at that in those areas.
Okay, well, thank you very much. When we come back, we will talk with the candidates about what the state should do or should not do to improve our slumping economy. That conversation when we return. This is a Maddy Institute Election Special.